and welcome to another steam-powered machine shop. I'm Dave. This shop was something that I put together to replicate a 1925 job shop that would be powered with steam. And it is mostly, but I do have a few things that I still run with electric motors. It's been so doggone hot here for the past 3 weeks that it's a real effort to fire the boiler in here when it's 90 degrees outside and 100 degrees in here. But I did get a couple of firings in, and I wanted to get some work done on a batch of 5 Lineshaft hangers that I had cast up, and we'll show you how that went. There was a few things that I did with my little South Bend lathe with the electric motor set up on it, just because it was so hot and I could just kind of fool along and make little parts while I was in that situation. So we'll get going on it. Thanks for watching. This is the hanger from over the hacksaw that I took down and sent out for them to use as a pattern. The bearing part of it is not part of the casting process. I made this one out of one piece of steel and then poured the Babbitt bearing in it because I didn't like the way the two-piece thing bolted together. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it on these 5 here, but that's what it looks like. And then I made this, this is sort of a safety strap. Of course, this is upside down on the bench here, but this goes on here and is a safety strap which would not allow this to fall if these set screws got backed out. And then this is a drip catcher here to catch oil drips. So the process involved drilling and tapping these holes, which I did on the pre-1900 Barnes drill press, and also threading these. I did a batch of 5 of these one day on the little South Bend lathe with electric motor, and then this turning job and threading job was done on the American lathe under steam power. on center. All right, now we're ready to set up the lathe. To set this lathe up to cut a particular thread, you do it with a quick change gearbox. Take this cover off so you can see the other gears. Now the chart here shows that there are actually two ranges here, depending on where you have the 60 tooth gear and the 30 tooth gear. Now this is the stud. It's called a stud on the lathe, and it runs from the spindle down through these tumbler gears to the stud. And this gear has the same exact number of teeth on it as this gear up here on the spindle. So if you have an idler gear in between, it doesn't do anything except reverse the rotation of it. And there's two gears here, so by moving this lever over here, you can shift these tumbler gears to have one gear between this gear and that gear, or both of these gears. It goes from one tumbler to the other tumbler and then down to the stud. That reverses the whole gearbox to make the lathe feed in the other direction, like if you were cutting left-handed threads. So the stud runs the same as this, and the next gear in line is the stud secondary gear here, which is 30. Now it's set up with the 30 on that and the 60 on here. Now to cut an 8 pitch thread, this chart shows that you can reach an 8 pitch thread from either one of these setups. So it's already set up with the 60 here, so I'm going to leave it. So on the American lathe here, with the 60 on the box, that's this one, and the 30 on the stud, that's this one, 30-60. Up here in this corner it says these are the threads in this column, these are the feeds in inches, in thousandths of an inch per revolution. Well, we're not working on feeds, we're working on threads. So this lever here has to go over in this notch. Come on. In this notch for this column. And that'll give us an 8 pitch thread. You follow this across, you also have to set these two levers at, one of them is B and one of them is C. So this one down here is already on B. And this one over here, I just switched it to C. Also, you got a lever here that switches from feeds to threads. If you put it over on threads, which it won't go in until I jog it, it shifts from this column to this column. Threads per inch, inches, thousandths of an inch per revolution feed. So we want threads, C setting, B setting, in this column to give us 8 threads per inch pitch. Okay, so here's the instruction plate, which I still haven't got riveted back on the machine. It says for reading the chasing dial, for even threads, that's like an 8 is an even number, engage the half nut on any line. So that's simple enough. So that means when this dial goes around here, I can engage the half nut for the feed on any line, number or not number, any one of these. There's 8 places. Okay, here we go. This is a different day. Back to machining this batch of lineshaft hangers, putting the yokes back through here again on center to thread them. Gearbox is set up, and we can try it. Number 8 thread can engage on any line. this old lathe, these dials are very hard to read. So I just put mark on that too. The classic mistake, I forgot to set the compound at 30 degrees. Do that and I'll be back. Okay, got the compound set at 30 degrees and caught my thread here by moving this around. Cast iron doesn't require any lubricant. It actually works better with than without it. I'm just pulling this thread off at the end here. I'm not worried about the half.
One of the things you have to deal with when you're machining castings is that the casting is kind of vaguely shaped, and it's rounded and tapered and odd shaped. So most of the time you have to kind of average things out a little bit and make sure that you got enough room to do what you need to do. If I put this tool up here close to this circle where this core is, you can see it runs fairly straight with that. And out here at the outside edge where it doesn't really matter anyway, but you don't want it to be grossly off, it's not too bad. Also, this way, just going to bring the tool up there. It's got a little bit of a high spot right there. I'm set up here to cut the internal threads in this nut. I've got a 1/4 inch tool plank in here that I ground to 60 degrees by hand. Takes a while, but if you're just careful and keep playing with it, you can get it. I'm going to cut a 1/8 an 8 pitch thread. So back here on the machine, the lead screw is an 8 pitch, so it would require a 1-to-1 ratio between the spindle and the lead screw. So this gear in the middle is just an intermediate gear that connects the stud to this lead screw. So all I got to do is find 2 gears that are the same number of teeth, any 2 gears that are the same number of teeth, and that'll work. And I had two 32s in my gear pile for this lathe, so I'll put a 32 on here and a 32 on here, and that's going to give it a 1-to-1 ratio with the spindle. Might be able to see that's turning the same speed. So that's all set to go. Being an even number thread, I can throw the nut in on any line. Nine threads French. The dials are real small on these old lathes. They're really hard to read. So I just put a white mark there. I'm calling that 0. Back to the mark. Pull her out a couple thousandths. I didn't shoot for any particular depth of thread. I just test fitted it to the part. Well, I got that bunch of nuts finished. That was a lot of machining. Started out taking me about an hour each to face, bore, and thread each one of them. And the last one I did in 17 minutes. So, shows you what you can do with a little practice.